Hi friends, Dr. Sunshine here, and today I would like to talk to you about yet another distorted thinking pattern or unhelpful thinking pattern that most of us are guilty of. It's called mental filter or discounting the positive. So, what is mental filter? Basically, it's kind of like having this glasses where only negative things filter through, but nothing positive. A good example of that. So I frequently give presentations to big groups of people, and of course, I'm always very anxious. And at the end, I always think I did a bad job. So on this particular occasion, about 40 people came up to me afterwards and told me how much they loved my presentation and how valuable they thought it was. And there was one person who came up to me and criticized some of the things. So, which comment do you think I focused on the next weekend? The 40 great things that people said, or that one negative thing? You're right. That next weekend, all I dwelled on was that one negative comment. It was almost like all of those 40 comments never happened. And only that one comment uh, filtered through and stayed with me. So, and we all are guilty of doing that. Just think about, are you good at receiving compliments? Or do you usually say, oh, they're just trying to be nice to me, they're just trying to say something nice, they're my friend, they would say that anyway. Do you do that often? I bet you do. Now, I also think of mental filtering. A good metaphor would be one of those connect the dots book, where you're supposed to go from like a number to letter, and once you connect them all, you get a picture of a beautiful rose. But some people forget to include the numbers and only connect the letters. And instead of the rose, they see a picture of a nasty snake. So that's kind of like a metaphor I like to use for mental filtering. Most of us, as our day goes by, we notice all the bad things that happened that day, negative critique we received from our boss, maybe somebody being rude to us, maybe not living up to our own expectations of ourselves, procrastinating on something, and at the end of the day, kind of feeling really shitty about yourself. It also happens a lot as people get older, and also like midlife crisis. People start to look over their lives and say things like, oh, I really haven't done much with my life. I never got to do this or that. My life was pretty ordinary. And so again, you tend to paint a picture that's pretty gloom and dark. In reality, life is much more colorful. But you can only notice it if you connect all of the dots and if you let all of the information in. A great way that I do this, I think that really works well, is to keep a gratitude journal, or I call it my happy moments journal, where throughout the day I write down each positive thing that happened and I write about how it made me feel. So at the end of the day, if I feel bad about myself or how the day went, I go back to that list and I read it, and it actually really clicks and changes something in my mind. It makes me feel really good. Another way to challenge this thought pattern is a double standard technique. So, an example of that would be a person that I worked with recently suffered severe childhood trauma and severe abuse, and continued to suffer abuse later on. So when he talked about himself, there was so much self-loathing and name calling of himself, and saying, I was such a pussy, that why didn't I fight back to the attacker, who was an adult and much bigger than him. So I asked him, okay, imagine that your nephew that he was very close to and was about that age as this guy when it happened. Imagine that this nephew told you that this happened to him. What would you tell him? And he said, oh my God, I would, first of all, I would kill that guy. And second of all, I would tell this, my little nephew, it's totally not your fault. You are such a beautiful person. You're so precious. And then I said, well, how about, what's different? This is the same situation, just a different person. And once he realized the double standard, it was pretty eye-opening to him. Another way that mental filter plays a role in our lives is it can also be for positive things, and that usually happens in addiction, or mostly addiction or romantic infatuation. And we all have been in those situations where we meet somebody, we fall head over heels over them, and then we discount all the negative things that we notice and that other people tell us about, and we only see the positives. So obviously it never ends well, and later on we learn the truth. With romantic infatuation, unfortunately, there isn't much you can do except for keeping a journal of the negative information and how it actually might apply to you in the future if it was done to other people. Another way is romanticizing and glorifying your drug using days. And we see that all the time. Once you forget that last terrible withdrawal that almost cost you your life, and once some time went by and you started to feel more or less human again, you start to have these memories of only the great days, that those moments when you felt like you were on top of the world. And in that case, you all know the technique that's used. We call it play the tape all the way through. So again, write down everything that went along with it. Write down the disappointment that you saw in your children's eyes, your fights with your significant other, feeling like a disappointment to yourself, and of course the physical and mental pain of the withdrawal process. So I hope this helps. I will see you soon. Peace out. Love you. Bye.